Hi there, Latin students. Quick video here for chapter 7 that we did on Monday. This is dealing with the second declension noun and the sum chant, which is the verb to be. It's highly irregular. So check this out and it'll help, hopefully. Okay, we're going to begin in chapter 7 at the top, the chapter maxim, which says cum tacent clamant, which means in English, when they are silent, they shout. Now, Cicero was known to say this. And so these chapter maxims are at the top. Every 2 weeks, we have a different one, and I encourage the children to memorize them. It's up to you, parents, but it's good when someone says, hey, you're taking Latin. Can you say anything? They can say the chapter maxim. Make them sound, gives them a boost of confidence. We focused on second declension noun endings. Second declension noun endings are simply the second kind of noun. I emailed this chart a while back, and this is the endings for the noun. This is the first declension endings. They're feminine in gender. This is the second declension endings. They're masculine in gender. These are the second neuter endings, and they're neuter in gender. These three are the three kinds of nouns that we will be studying in this book. And we learn them by chanting. So for example, when the first declension, we used the song, Bingo was his name, oh, I am, I am, singular first declension, I, is, us, is, I, is, us, is, I, is, us, is, plural first declension. A little ditty there to remember it. What I say is, I, is, us, is. There you go. Boring way. But anyways, so chant that. Then the second declension, right? This is the second kind of noun. There are actually 5 kind in Latin, but here's the second. Us, o, I, is, os, is. One more time. Us, o, I, is, os, is. The I says E as in machine. I says E as in machine. Now you can see in this nominative, this subject, job, we have 2 other endings I wrote in there. There's an ER and an IR. Those are irregular endings, and I added them in there because, for example, if you look at our words in chapter 6, when we introduce this, the very first word is puer, and it ends in ER. Pueri is the genitive. Wir ends in IR. Weary is the genitive. Magister is the nominative. Magistri is the genitive. So these 2 pieces of information is what we need for a noun. When students memorize, they must recite out loud the nominative, the genitive, what it means in English, and the gender. So for example, this is chapter 6. They're going to go puer, pueri, boy, masculine. Wir, weary, man, masculine. Germanus, germany, brother, masculine. Ludus, ludi, school game play, masculine. Filius, filii, son, masculine. Magister, magistri, male master, male teacher, masculine. Discipulus, discipuli, male student, disciple, masculine. Dominus, domini, male master, masculine. Famulus, famili, male servant, masculine. Servus, servi, male slave, masculine. Amicus, amici, male friend, masculine. And when you get a child in a role like that, that's all the information they need when they go to decline. So we're in chapter 7 this week, and we have 5 second declension nouns. Hortus, horti, garden, masculine. Lupus, lupi, wolf, masculine. Socius, soci, ally, associate, masculine. Aquarius, aquarii, water carrier, masculine. Now what you'll see here is they have stopped writing the genitive, which is upsetting to me because I still feel like the students need that. You can say it's a crutch, but I just like it written out. Now they're assuming that the student has caught on to how to find your stem. You don't go to the first word. You go to the genitive. That's where you go to find your stem. And so I wish they had written it out like other curriculums do, but they didn't. So I want them to write it out when they go to decline. So every noun must be declined. And this is what's going to guarantee your student having success. So this is the noun declension form they need to get. And we declined hortus, horti in class. And they write those first two pieces of information in the nominative and genitive. Then, of course, how to decline a noun, you go to the genitive, you cross out the genitive ending. The genitive ending is, well, here it is right here, is an I, pronounced E. You cross out the genitive ending and you're left with the stem. You're going to write that stem 10 times. So HORT 5 here, HORT 5 there. We write it 10 because we have 5 jobs in Latin. We have the subject noun. This is the subject nominative. Another word for nominative is subject noun. The genitive is a PNA. This is a possessive noun adjective. A dative is an indirect object. The accusative is the direct object. And the ablative is the object of the preposition. Now, remember, one of the benefits of Latin is students really get strong in their grammar. So these are called noun cases, and they're right in the middle here. This is the singular column, and this is the plural. So again, you will decline all the nouns in your vocabulary list, and the endings will be determined by the ending here. So if this is an us, you're going to find those. You're going to go to the genitive. You're going to cross out the genitive ending. You're left with the stem. You write that stem 10 times, and then you're going to add us, I, o, I, orum, is, os, is. And how the children remember this is they use the jingle bells and they go, us, I, o, o. Oh, that's not the wrong. Us, I, o, o. Us, I, o, o. Us, I, o, o. Us, I, o, o. That must not be it. Us, I, or I've got something else playing at the same. I ormisos is, I ormisos is, plural second declension, and I can't remember the melody. Anyways, there you go. There's the endings. So I want students to, in this chapter 7, to decline these 4 nouns here and conjugate these verbs. And to conjugate a verb, you're going to get your verb conjugation sheet, just like this. And so you're going to write at the top, so wiggle, we can do clamo. So you're going to write clamo, clamare, all 4 principal parts, clamawi, clamatu. And this means shout. It means shout. So the stem is found. We go to the infinitive. The second principal part of the verb is called the infinitive. We cross out the RE and we're left with the stem. So that's spelled C-L-A-M-A. Clama. Yes. And so you're going to write this stem 6 times. You're going to write it right here. C-L-A-M-A. Just like that. And then you're going to write it over here 3 more times. And then you're going to add your personal endings. Now, these are your verb endings. Okay. So for the present, we have O-S-T, muss, tis, und. O means I, S means you, T means he, she, or it. Muss means we, tis means you all, and means they. So we can go ahead and write that. I've got a green marker here, right? So O-S-T, muss, tis, und. And we can even highlight it in green too, just to help that ending pop out. Now, some of you all have noticed that this needs to look the same as that. And it doesn't, because it's got an A in there. So what actually we do, I tell the students, is go ahead and follow these instructions, right? But get rid of that A. They didn't want, and the reason why is they didn't want to say clamao. So they just dropped it. Okay. So it's clamo, clamas, clamat, clamamus, clamatis, clamat. So O, what does O mean? What does it say here? O means I. So you're going to write the English over here, I, and S means you. And T means he or she or it. Clama means shout. So I shout. You shout. He, she, it shouts. And then moose. What does moose mean in Latin? Moose means we. So we're going to write we. Tis means you all. And nt means they. Okay, so we shout, you all shout, and they shout. Okay, very good. So what we've got here is a conjugated verb. We conjugated clamat. And you're going to do that for wigolo, wigolare, wigolawi, wigolatum, tardo, tardare, tardawi, tardatum, habito, habitare, habitawi, habidatum, and demonstro, demonstrare, demonstrawi, demonstratum. You're going to do that on your verb conjugation sheet, just in the present tense. Now notice there are some helping verbs here. Am, is, are, do, does. So there's actually 3 different ways you can translate clamo. I shout, I am shouting, I do shout. You shout, you are shouting, you do shout. He, she, it shouts, he, she, it is shouting, he, she, it does shout. We shout, we are shouting, we do shout. You all shout, you all are shouting, you all do shout. And they shout, they are shouting, they do shout. 3 different ways to form that present tense. There is no additional translation word for these helping verbs. They can mean any of those. Okay, so there you go. There's your vocabulary. We included here a linking verb. It doesn't really explain it other than it says, here it is, let's learn it. And so we went ahead and we conjugated it on here. But I wrote all 4 principal parts. I am, to be, I was, I am about to be. But there is no stem and there is no infinitive. It just is what it is. And it is sum es est, sumus estis sunt. You just memorize it. Interestingly, this S is on here, right? It means you, and that means you. This T is on here, and that means he, she, or it. This moose is on here, and it means we. Tis is on there, and it means you all, and nt is on there. So, little ways to see some patterns to memorize, but basically you just have to memorize that. Okay. Then they taught us actually how to label a sentence and translate. They put 2 words on here, and I showed the children to color the ending. So they've learned the first declension, and I have those pink because this is the first kind of noun, and mostly they're feminine. So that formula ends in an A, color it pink, and it identifies this job as the nominative, or in English, the subject. And then laborat is a T ending, and that means he, she, or it, right? But we're not going to say the servant, she works. We don't need 2 subjects. We just need 1. So we're going to say the servant works. We're going to cross out that subject pronoun and just say the servant works. And so what they did here was they had you translate some words. So dominus is an us ending. That is blue. We're going to color that blue, and that's a subject. So you have to remember, what does dominus mean? It means the Lord or the master. And then sta comes from to stand, and t is singular, and it means he, she, or it, and it means the Lord, the master stands. Number 3, we've got AE ending there. It's pink, and we know that one of these words is the subject and one's the verb. So we're just going to say that's the subject. And so we're going to, it comes from amica, which means friends, girlfriends. So the girlfriends, same verb, stand. You can notice that that ending is NT, and it's NT because friends is plural, right? It's called a subject verb agreement. And with my 4th grade grammar class, that's exactly what we're learning, subject verb agreement. Okay. And then here we have an I, and this I is coming from here. So this is the subject, the slaves. And again, we're going to have our subject verb agreement. That's going to be our verb ending, the slaves work. All right. Don't be stressed out if you don't understand that, because I'm going to give students extra sentences and I'm going to keep explaining that. That's a little tricky. They just sort of threw that on you. Then I want you to study these vocabulary words here. The derivatives on page 50, great words there. And that's it. So I hope that was helpful, and keep up the good work. Keep listening to those jingles, the vocabulary words every day, and they'll come out just like that. And do your endings. All right, Latin's all about stems and endings. You can do it. Bless you. Bye.